Natalia, this is such a haunting movie. Every single minute, I never know what to think. Was there something about David or David's script, or maybe Simon as a director, that really drew you to be a part of Sophia? Maybe it was the mystery that she holds.
Um, Definitely. After reading the script, talking to Simon and David gave me a lot of confidence in doing the film and in who they were as artists. But mainly, I think what drew me to this film is, it was 2021, and we were all going through this communal grief with the pandemic. Most of us had lost someone or knew of someone that had lost someone. During that year, I lost three of the beings I loved most in this world. So I was just covered in a grief that I hadn't experienced in my life before. And and as soon as I read the portrait in Sophia, I could see in the script, I could understand in the script things that I don't think I would have understood as deeply uh, unless I was in the place I was in my life. Um, that analysis of grief, of how it impacts us, of what it does to our psyche, was very interesting to me, and I had been swimming in it for months. And then also the idea of what it must be like to experience death in life, to lose someone without losing them physically, to still have their body there, their smell, their taste, everything that reminds your body of them, but their inside essence is not really recognizable anymore. I don't know of something more heartbreaking. The small comfort of death is that there's no other choice but to let go. And in this story, she didn't have that choice. If she was in love with her husband, she was trapped in this limbo of grief that was incredibly interesting to me to analyze. Also, because I had because of my specifically my cousin's passing a couple of months before, I, I had been there right when he passed, days later, and we were all together in the house, my whole family, and all of a sudden someone made a joke, and I could hear, and I my instinct waited for my cousin to laugh, right? And when my dog of all my laugh passed away, I remember one day your mind forgets that they're not here, and I whistled for her, and the realization that I was never going to hear her footsteps after that whistle made me realize that grief has a very thriller and suspenseful energy to it. And I just thought it was wonderful to find this film that I thought was all about grief, or a lot about grief, and also a suspense film, a thriller. Grief is these moments that I tell you, they're full of suspense, because you hear a joke and then you have this you hold the space just holds for the waiting of the response, or you get home and you say, I'm home, and there's no voice to respond. So those in between moments of getting the reaction that you're used to and not getting it are all full of suspense and thrill. And I just thought having that person alive but gone within just exasperated that feeling. So that was really the sort of analytical part that I really interests me when I read the script.
I think Virginia's character plays into that idea then super well. Um, but I have to ask Ryan, there's such Dorian Gray vibes, like you're this unaging portrait in the that's just looming over everyone. How was the Alex Calvin sort of tete-a-tete described to you initially?
Well, initially it was in the script, so I wasn't sure at that point that I would be playing both characters. I wasn't sure how that amalgamation was sort of going to take place. But sorry, I was just listening to Natalia talk, and she has such a beautiful way of articulating sort of thought with emotion and then executing that, whether it's in an interview like this or whether it's, working with her. Um, so, me, it's important to be surrounded by people that are willing to kind of go to those places. And it's an unusual story. We live in a time where original storytelling is really hard to find. So for me, knowing that sort of it was quite a tale that this story even made it to the film, to fruition. And it was a huge opportunity for me to play a character that I'd never played before and that no one had sort of seen me play before. So doing a deep dive on traumatic brain injury and seeing the level of heartbreak that comes with that, both from the person themselves, but also from the family members, and trying to find sort of inspiration and points to sort of, okay, well, this is really good for our story. How can we infuse these elements into our story? And then Calvin was a sadistic kind of an artist, and how do you begin to kind of blend those characters, Alex and Calvin? How do you begin to kind of, well, are they one and the same? Is one sort of turning one into the other? And because he doesn't have the ability to articulate exactly what he's saying, you're on the edge of your seat wondering whether she can understand what he's going through.
That portrait, I hope you didn't have to sit for. I'm sure many people have asked where it resides these days. Maybe over your dinner table, above your dinner table, but but I have to ask about your thoughts on how it turned out.
I thought it was exquisite. Simon found a phenomenal UK artist, Fipsy C. Learn. She did those sort of on spec for us, and we saw the sort of the spec stuff that she did, and it was just incredible. And then we even flew her out for a couple of sort of lashings on the day as well, and she was just so incredible to work with. And as you sort of see in the movie, the paintings themselves, they really do take on a pretty haunting, eerie, ominous energy, and they really are like energy pieces. You stare at them too long and you begin to kind of get drawn into that world.
The eyes and your facial expression exceptionally haunting.
Yeah, I look, I've seen the portrait and I've watched the movie, and it's it feels a little bit Mona Lisa-esque.
Yeah, it does. Totally does.
Natalia, there's so many intense moments in here, and there's dark moments, and there's sad moments. It's all just so brilliantly acted by you throughout the entire movie. My heart's breaking. You're grabbing your throat at one point in the bed. What are some of the moments that maybe challenged you the most while you were filming, either physically or emotionally?
Thank you, firstly, for saying all that about my work. I really appreciate
It
it.
was visceral
Yeah,
watching you.
well, I love that kind of stuff. I'm an intense human being. So I was a classical dancer. So I think the more you try to break me, the more I like it. I just like hard work. I like challenge. So I don't know. There's so much that I feel challenged by, but to be honest with you, and this might not be the most uh like exciting answer, but what scared me the most was the congruency of the film, trying and of the character, keeping it together. I had never had to carry a film before in that way, where you're almost in every frame, and I was not scared, but there was this anxiety and nervousness about knowing that the film is shot in complete disorder. Everything that's shot outside was shot in the villa. Everything that's shot inside was shot in another home weeks later. So when you see me walking out of the villa from a scene where he's tried to stab me per se, I'm walking out days before, days after. So that was, to me, I think what scared me the most was keeping that thread connected, not making the audience jump from, wait, she was just, I think that's the part of the craft that Ryan and I do, and so many that is not talked about, that is really intricate and about observation and concentration and focus. And there's a very athletic essence to actors, not just in the physical, but in athletic mind. You need
Yes.
to keep a lot of things together, that once people watch the film, they think, oh, they think you literally shot the beginning of the film, and
Yes,
then they think
people
you're
don't realize
filming.
that, is that you
Yeah.
guys you'll shoot maybe like a kiss scene that's meant for an end of a movie the very first day you meet each other, and then you go to the middle, and then it's all about days and sunlight and what's this and when it's not raining and things like that. So to keep that emotional state, first of all, and that the intellectually piece it all together, where am I'm at emotionally this day, I did this on this day, I have to be in the same mindset, I have to have the same, and look in my eye that I had. It's very intricate, and both of you have done this exceptionally well. And I have to say, Ryan, those are dark moments and intense moments and scary and edge of your seat moments for your characters as well. How did you shake off a long day of being these two individuals?
Yeah, look, it's unearthing generational trauma and then combining it with how do you then deal with a traumatic brain injury, and those two confluences are sort of coming at each other, and that's where Sophia's trying to deal with the one deal with the traumatic brain injury, yet at the same time, it keeps creeping in this sense of, well, hang on a second, this kind of perfect life that he seemed to have lived beforehand doesn't seem so perfect. In fact, it seems rather strange and just getting more and more kind of perverted. Um, yeah, so she's starting to sort of lose her mind. So for me, it was important to sort of maintain a sense of mystery to the character without being so far gone that you don't care. You still have to be able to find something kind of captivating in him that either wants you to feeling that you want him to get better, or that she is going to sort of be the savior to get him there. Yet at the same time, you can't help but find this sense that, well, is he hurting her? Is this, and maybe she's better off without it. So we skirted that line. We danced on that line a lot. That was one of the great things about, you have to work with someone with intelligence like Natalia and Simon and David. Between sort of the four of us, we really did have a great sense of understanding the story. Yeah, and we were also blessed with, copious amounts of talent outside of just our realms. We've already mentioned Fipsy, but Luke Hanlon, our cinematographer, did a great job. Lawrence Humphreys, the production designer, on a shoestring budget, just made, the house look so incredibly kind of opulent, yet sort of run down and eerie. Yeah, we were blessed with a pretty damn good crew.
Ryan, Natalia, I think, said it best, or maybe there's maybe no way to top it, but there are these emotions that will linger with people that watch this movie. Not necessarily a message, but there are emotions that will linger, and a haunting as well, and grief, and these maybe there are messages as well. Like I said, maybe Natalia said it best, but is there something that you hope lingers with people that watch this movie?
Yeah, I do like what Virginia Madsen's character, Cousin Mags, kind of says, is that all art is in the eye of the beholder. But also, I feel that, but I feel it's also in the heart of the beholder. So, I hope that this gets through to people in a way that, like you said, it stays with you. You're thinking about it long after the credits have rolled, which is, a rarity these days. And that's kind of what the type of movie that we all were destined to kind of make here, I feel like, anyway.
Yeah, and for me, it's also, I said it in the past interview, but I think actors, filmmakers in general, we've done a disservice to our craft by keeping it so mysterious, because when people don't understand what you do, they can't really appreciate it a lot of the time. And now in a world that is getting so interconnected, through lovely social media. You know, this film was made in very few days with very little money. And as Ryan said, if we don't have the team we have, and we don't have the willingness from the team and crew and cast and producers, you just don't get films made, you know, or they don't come out like The Portrait came out. I like to talk about the actual execution of film because I think it'll get understood and therefore respected even more if we do speak of it. I think a lot of the time the artist is the opportunities he gets or she gets. You know, The Portrait with millions and millions of dollars would have been a different film. So there's a lot of pride in achieving what we achieved with the tools that we were handed and the opportunities that we were handed. And to young filmmakers out there, this is what I would love for them to take. Go and make independent film. That's where film is born. Where storytelling in our way is born. So go and make it. As Werner Herzog said, films are not made with money. Films are made with heart and with desire, passion, and hard work. And if we can start, you know, infecting people this way, maybe we can sort of halt the corporations at hand that have taken over our craft completely, and protect the art in itself a little bit.